It's Footy Talks presented by Powerade, and now Toronto FC captain Michael Bradley joins us on the show as well. Michael, thanks so much for giving up your time to be with us today here on Footy Talks on the eve of the MLS Cup playoffs. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Michael.
You're back home this week. You've had the opportunity to be back in Downsview and training there. Has it been almost as important as getting ready physically for the playoffs to have that opportunity mentally to be back with the family and to be able to be back in a normal environment for a little while?
Yeah, it's been big. There's no two ways about it. Just in terms of a change of scenery. Hartford has been amazing. The club has done an incredible job in terms of the hotel. Making sure that we have everything we need in the hotel, making it as homey as possible. But the reality is still they're long days. Obviously train and eat. A little bit of treatment, a little bit of extra work in the gym or whatever it is. But there's still a lot of time to just kill, right? And now when you're home, just for everybody to be back with their back with their families, back in the routine of going into the training ground, getting our work done there. It's been really, really nice. I think mentally it's done us a world of good.
Michael, I know you've got limitations at home with the modified quarantine, but is there also something to say, and I know it never really leaves you, but that you're representing a city, aren't you? You're representing a badge when you go on the playoffs. Is it something to say that there's something pretty special again that you're back here right now to be able to do that and go out again? You're always representing the city, but when you can come back and hang out a little bit at home and see the people and the places that you love, that must just add fuel to the fire a little bit more to go and get the job done, surely.
Yeah, definitely. There's a sense of, when this time of year, when you wake up in the morning and you're driving to the training facility, the weather's cool, big games right around the corner. It's, they're familiar feelings and that's a good thing. And so obviously in a perfect world, we'd be getting ready to play at BMO on Tuesday night in front of 30,000 people. But obviously that's not in the script for this year. And so, we'll still take every little bit of home that we can have and make sure that we're ready come kickoff on Tuesday night to really go for it.
Michael, what's 2020 been like for you? I know it's been difficult for all of us, but it's been a tough season in terms of injuries. Mentally, has it allowed you to reflect a little bit on your career, what's to come, what's left, and stuff like that? Has it been challenging?
Yeah, I mean it's been frustrating for sure. Obviously, it's been a stop-start year for everybody, just in terms of COVID and everything shutting down, and then when just as we were getting things back going after Orlando having to come back and basically go quarantine at home for another 2 weeks, go 2 weeks without any real training. And then obviously when you add in, the big ankle surgery at the beginning of the year, and then the MCL injury that I picked up against Montreal. Yeah, it's been one of those years, but if anything, it has reminded me how much I love to play, how much I love to compete, how much I know is still there for me. And so, yeah, for me right now, the focus and the motivation is on finishing this season in the best possible way. And then, using whatever, hopefully little time there is in the off season to keep going and really build myself up, continue to build myself up in a good way for next season.
We've heard from different coaches and players throughout the league about some of the challenges that people have gone through this year. And Thierry Henry talked about it being the toughest thing he's had to do in terms of, his first MLS coaching job and dealing with, he said, when you're a player, you just deal with your problems. But when you're a coach, you have everybody else's problems as well. You're a captain and a leader as well. Have there been times this year when, that leadership has been tested in terms of you having to go places that maybe you've not had to before in terms of just generally leading a team?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, it's you guys have heard me say this. I mean, and we've talked about it a lot this year, which is just this idea that if you wanted, you could find something wrong every single day right now. You know, that if you really wanted to, you could pick something apart every single day that wasn't right, wasn't perfect, wasn't wasn't what you'd hoped you'd hoped it was going to be. And look, we all do that in little ways. We're human, but we've also talked about this idea of when you look around the world, we're still pretty darn lucky in terms of what we have, what we're able to do, the ability to still train and play games, and look, at the end of this year, they're gonna hand out a trophy to a team, and one team's gonna get to stand up there and lift it together. And so as long as that's still in play, then we're going to give everything we have to make sure that is the only focus. But for sure, along the way, there has been the need for everybody to, just be understanding of different situations, understanding of emotions, of feelings, and so it's been something, that's for sure.
Michael, you have an incredible achievement, the fact that you played every minute of every MLS playoff game this club has ever played in. We're talking about a lot lately, and as analysts, and you've talked a lot about this to us, about those reference points, how many times you've been there together over the last few years and how that can help you going forward. I know that 2017 MLS Cup is one that will always stick with you with tremendous pride, not just winning it, but the way that you won it. Of the 16 MLS playoff games, other than that, is there one that you think of more than any other during that time?
That's a good question. There's been a lot of.
You can probably have multiple ones because there's a lot of good answers too, right? You had a lot of good nights.
Yeah, look, nobody ever talks about it, but in some ways, the one that gets lost in the shuffle pretty easily is the first one that we won against Philadelphia in 2016 at home. There was some real pressure that night. I mean, given at that point that it was my third year, it was the third year of kind of this project. It was the second year with Josie and with Seba. And obviously, look, everyone at the club and everyone in the city was still really proud of what we had been able to accomplish the year before, making the playoffs for the first time. That in some ways, when we lost to Montreal in the way that we did, it got swept under the carpet a little bit, right? And it certainly didn't on the inside of our group. And the goal was never to just make the playoffs, and I think going into that game against Philadelphia, I think there was a real sense and a real understanding from amongst everybody that, okay, it's time to put up or shut up a little bit, and that we needed to now take a real step forward in terms of, okay, we're in the playoffs, but now we've got to win. We've got to be a team that can win these big games. And so I think that was certainly one that, again, it kind of flies under the radar. But it was a big night. And then obviously look, the two that the series with Montreal later that year was incredible. Hard to think that any series, any two-legged tie, when you look back or even looking forward, it's hard to think how anything can match that when you take everything into account, the drama before the first game even started with the lines at Olympic Stadium, and then going down 3-0 and thinking to yourself, this can't be happening again, to then the return leg in Toronto, and the weather, and just the way it all played out, that was special.
Michael, someone asked me a really interesting question, I thought, the other day, and it was, did you love winning or did you hate losing? And I think that the second part of my question is, I want to ask that of you. I think you're a fascinating guy to ask that of. But the second part is, a guy like you who's had enormous wins, some agonising defeats, particularly here in MLS with TFC. Is winning ever enough? Is there ever a point where you feel satisfied? I think I know the answer to this, but can you ever experience enough winning, or do you just want more? The minute you get that success, the hunger's there just to go again and pick up another trophy.
Yeah, it's a great question. That hunger and that drive is always there, and it's so true that the high and the joy and the positive emotion that comes when you win, it doesn't last anywhere near as long as the pain and the frustration and the disappointment when you lose. So that part is real. I think as I've gotten older, I think I've also, I think I've also been able to come to grips a little bit with this idea of that not everything is so black and white. That you guys know me. I'll give anything and everything I have to win, and to be the one, be the one team that's standing on the podium at the end, lifting that trophy. But along the way, when you look back, there is still success in reaching finals. There is still success in the consistency that we've been able to do that. The way that we've played, what we have been about in some of the biggest moments, and you can think to the last year's final, the way that we went to Seattle and were able to play, the way that we were, on turf in a stadium like that, the way we were able to put the game on our terms. They end up breaking through with a deflection, and that kind of breaks the game open. If you look, obviously, Champions League in 2018 or MLS Cup in 2016, you lose on penalties, and how small the margins are. But again, even if you take Champions League in 2018, you look at the way that we were able to play, you look at the experiences that we had, what we had to go through to get there, and again, we didn't win that tournament, we didn't lift the trophy, but anybody who tries to knock us for being a team that has now lost a few finals like that, that everybody's free to judge however they want, but I see it in a different way.
It's incredible as well when you go back through some of those games, and Stevie, you mentioned it a little bit last week with Scotland. And when you're reaching these major tournaments and you see your country there every single time, you think it's just going to go on forever. And then all of a sudden with Scotland, it stopped in 1998, and they're only just getting back to the Euros now. Must feel at times like that, Michael, the TFC, that winning culture that you've instilled is going to go on forever. But you have to savor those moments, because you know that it doesn't last like that in sports.
Yeah, you have to enjoy them. You have to savor them. You have to enjoy every second, every part of it, every little thing that goes into it. And you also then have to understand that you have to earn everything every time over again. That nothing is, on Tuesday night in Hartford when we kick off. whoever we're playing against doesn't care what we've done or how many times we've done this or that. They're thinking to themselves, this is our time. This is our chance to now to go on a real run and to push ourselves into that top category of teams in the league. And so the understanding from every guy to always know to find that balance between being proud of what we have done and proud of what we have been about over the course of a bunch of years, but also understand that you have to earn it every single time when that whistle blows again. And there's the longer that you are able to have some consistent success, the more that teams are coming after you, the more that teams are trying to knock you down. And so there's two sides to it for sure.
Michael, it is award season in MLS. We're talking off the top of the show about some of the award winners, and obviously MVP will be coming up in the next couple of weeks as well. Alejandro Pozuelo, a favorite for that. He certainly got our vote. What's it been like with him this season for you, both on the field and unfortunately for you being off the field and being able to observe it a little bit differently? What have you noticed from him this season?
Yeah, I mean, his ability to score goals and set up goals is incredible. And obviously, in a year like this, when, with so many games, obviously, we've had to mix and match and chop and change a little bit in moments in terms of who's been on the field and how we've played and who's played where. But his ability to, impact games in the most important ways and, show up in the right spaces at the right times, and then his eye for final passes is incredible. The way that he can see these windows in between defenders, in between the defender and the goalkeeper. The way that he can then weight certain passes on the ground. His ability to when he drifts out right to play to curl the ball behind the defense in front of the goalkeeper. His ability to play some of these passes and again come away with important goals and assists. That part has been that part's been incredible.
Michael, I want to ask you about another one of your teammates and a guy that you've been alongside for a number of years, Jonathan Osorio. I think you're probably better than anyone to analyse the growth in him as a man and obviously as a football player. What have you seen, and where is he now and how high can he go? Because he still looks like, to me, he's improving and he's got a lot of great years ahead of him.
Yeah, listen, Oso is it's amazing for me because obviously, I can remember my first preseason in Bradenton, Stevie, when we were, not long after I had gotten here, when, we were sitting on the bus one day and, obviously it's not like I knew every single guy coming into the group. And I can remember after like the first or second day asking you about Oso and basically saying like, this kid, he can play, like what's his best spot? How are we gonna make sure that we get the best out of him and keep pushing him forward? Because it took, like I said, it took one session to see the quality that he has, the football that he has in him. He's fun to play with. He takes the right number of touches. He understands how to move. He gives you the ball when it's good for you and not good for and not good for him. And so, yeah, I mean, look, the experience that we've had on the field together, we've stepped on a field on a lot of big days and a lot of big nights over the last few years, and certainly the trust and the confidence that he and I have in each other. That part that's hard to find. And then if certainly when you add in Markey to the equation and the ability that the midfield that we've been able to have on some of these days, that part has been a real strength. And so look, for me, Oso is a guy who He loves to play. He loves to train. He works. So he's going to continue to get better and better. He's versatile as well. I mean, he can play as a two-way midfielder. He can play as an attacking midfielder. He can play, tilted. If you want to play him as a more of a winger coming off the left and letting him come inside and find space in between lines, he can do that. And look, I said to a bunch of people this year, he and Marky both deserve big credit for the way that they were able to both tweak little parts of how they would typically play and make sure that the team didn't skip a beat in the games that I missed, because obviously, on a lot of days, the three of us played together, and the relationships and the balance in the midfield is one thing. But obviously, when I wasn't on the field, the intelligence and the maturity that both of those two guys showed to be able to, and quality that those guys were able to show in terms of, again, making sure that the team had football and balance and still was successful. That part was at a high level, and so they both deserve big credit for that.
Michael, thanks so much for your time today. Really appreciate you being with us here on Footy Talks. Best of luck for the playoffs as you get set to head back to Hartford over the weekend.
Thanks, Michael.
Michael, good luck.
All right.
Mate.
It will be New England Revolution, Nashville, or Montreal on Tuesday night in East Hartford, Connecticut for Toronto FC to open up the postseason. Every game live, of course, on MLS on TSN, starting tomorrow night with the Impact at New England Revolution and followed by Nashville against Inter Miami. Can't wait to get started with the MLS postseason. Thanks to everyone for being with us on Footy Talks. We'll see you again next week.
Have a good week.